World Teachers Day 2024 was valuing teacher voices towards a new social contract for education. And so the question was asked, are the voices of teachers in the Bahamas being heard? And the voices replied, no. Thus gave birth to Classroom Chronicles, solution-based critiques among teachers about teacher-related topics in education. I am Ms. J, your host for this debut season of Classroom Chronicles. Have you ever thought that maybe being in the classroom isn't for you? Maybe your talents are better suited for an administrative position. Or have you considered moving from New Providence to one of the family islands to teach? Perhaps that's where the best of you can be drawn out. In today's session, we discuss testing the waters, finding your niche in education. Today we have with us Mrs. Dakia Scott from Sadie Curtis Primary, Miss Latia Johnson from Thelma Gibson Primary, and Mrs. Linda Pascal from E.P. Roberts Primary School. I am Miss J. This is Classroom Chronicles. When did you know that teaching was what you wanted to do, Dakia?
I knew from a child. I had siblings, and the dolls, you know, the many dolls that you have. And I used to pretend to be a teacher. And that's when I knew that my calling was teaching. Now, the topic was, what am I going to teach? And growing up, I always sung in the choir. And from primary school straight to senior high school, that I knew that in music I was going to get A's. So now I am a music teacher, and I love what I do.
Oh, wow. So from young, you just knew.
Teaching was my passion.
Okay. Latia?
It was very similar for me. I too taught all my dolls, all my Barbie dolls and my stuffed animals, as well as teaching other children at my primary school. I used to take the second graders and try to teach them the fourth grade information. And then I got lost along the way. And it wasn't until 12th grade when I thought I was going to be a secretary. And I did a little work experience sitting behind the desk at Ministry of Finance, and I decided I needed a job that would keep me on my feet. And I always loved children, so I wanted a job that where I was able to work around children.
So you left a job that I would think if you work in where the money is, then, Ministry of Finance.
Well, I wasn't in yet. It was just work experience in grade 12.
Okay.
Yes, but
and it tempted you just a little bit.
No.
And then you came back.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Miss Linda.
For me, it was similar. From a child, you have those passions, but I kind of ran away from it. I'm like, well, I don't think I want to be a teacher. I think I want to be a nurse. I think I want to be an accountant. It was really trying to figure out what I wanted to do. But from early teens, I started teaching in Sunday school. And everybody could say, oh, you're going to be a teacher. You're going to be a teacher. And I'm like, nah. But when the time came for me to make that decision, I'm like, you know what, God? I think teaching it is. And I decided to pursue teaching.
All right. Well, I know it's a little bit far away, but welcome to the noble profession. Okay, our guests in studio today are primary school teachers, and so I am the only junior high teacher here, and I can assure you that I never wanted to be a teacher. It was not on my list of things to do. I will say, however, that I wanted to learn Spanish. That was it. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I just knew that I wanted to learn Spanish. And I come from a family of teachers. And I think when you grow up with a family of teachers, the expectations are so high. My mom is typing Toya, Toya's typing. And so my sister is Bodine. And so, to fall in their footsteps and be a teacher, it was like, oh, these shoes are really big. And so for me, it wasn't like I wanted to be a teacher. It was just something that I became, especially because they had the best scholarship. Like, hello, like education. I have to give education the props they deserve. The scholarship that's afforded to educators is the best. And then nursing is, but education, because that's what we're here to talk about. Education has the best scholarship in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas for persons looking to start a career. And you don't just become a teacher. It's like you grow into it, and being in the environment, it molds you. And so back to what a few of you mentioned before, you started off playing with your dolls. So it was something that was innate in you. And so my question to you is, why primary school though? I leave it open. Who wants to speak first?
For me, it just was a decision. Like, I like high schoolers. Junior school for me is like, nope, definitely not. It's just that age where they're trying to figure themselves out, and I'm like, not interested.
But in primary, they ain't know nothing.
Exactly. And the foundation, I personally believe that the strongest teachers need to be at the foundation. Because when we do our jobs correctly, then y'all wouldn't have the headache. You understand?
I thank you for that. Could you repeat that just a little bit louder for the persons in the back for
But
me?
honestly, like, and my teachers, they, persons who, I say that often, like primary school teachers, it's us. Like, we have a lot to bear on our shoulders because we're the foundation. And that's why I chose primary school. However, I would never do preschool nor grade 1.
Okay, so you just not, you ain't going way down there.
No,
but-
I ain't going past 3.
Okay,
in my
so not
head.
lower primary. They gotta know.
But technically, I am in lower primary now, 3rd grade. But it's like,
You ain't going no lower. Okay. All right, Miss Latia.
Yes, for me, I wanted an age level where I could make the most impact. I think at the junior high and the senior high level, those children, those students have really already came into who they're going to be. Somewhat, not completely, but they've already been molded. You can't bend the tree at that age. But at the primary level, we get to have more of an impact on the child that is growing up emotionally and socially. We get more influence at the primary level, so that's why I went there.
Because at the primary school level, what teachers say is the word. When they go
Yes,
home,
yes.
teachers say this, teachers say that. Mommy, my teacher said,
Yes, we
is what
trump
comes
mommy.
home.
We
You know what I
trump
mean?
what mommy say when it comes to education.
Yes.
So it's kind of a little drunk
Like, so
having
y'all-
that power.
So y'all is the bosses. That's,
Yes,
so
we-
that's what
we're
it
the
is. It's
bosses.
like power. You can feel powerful in the position of a primary teacher. Hold on, I'm going to revisit that. All right, Ms. Takia.
Well, for me, I knew that I just wanted to teach. So wherever the ministry sent me, I was willing to go. When I started in 2012, I was sent to Andros, where I was an itinerant
Family
teacher.
Island experience.
Yes, and it was lovely. So I taught from grade 1 straight to grade 12. I had primary and secondary. And then when
How
I came
was
to
that?
Nassau, I loved it. And when I came to Nassau,
Hear that?
they sent me to Sadie Curtis Primary, and I've been there since. So
Do
I'm
you-
flexible.
So I want to harp on that for a minute. Do you feel as though your experience on the Family Island made you a better teacher here on New Providence? Do you feel as though it enabled you to give more to the students as a result of your experience from teaching from, like you say, primary straight, like secondary?
I do. On the island, I didn't have so much resources, so I had to become very creative. So it was like a skeletal structure for me. So when I came here, I was able just to put on the meat and everything, and it was easier for me to transition from an island to now being here in Nassau. So it made it easier for me. That was my experience.
I will say that I am envious of primary school teachers I went to COB, even though, they say we are alum of UB. I actually went to COB, and so for me, I was envious of primary teachers because they have so many classes where they get to create all these little tactile stuff and their classroom decorations, like you can definitely tell the influence of a primary school teacher versus a secondary or a senior or a junior high teacher, because there's something different about the way you guys see and envision your classroom. So, because, I wanted to ask you, like, if you felt as though perhaps after being in the classroom for such a long time, how did you make the transition from college to the classroom and be able to find your niche? Let's start with...
Well, I think I have the most experience up here the longest time. I've taught for 21 years.
21 years.
Yes, and I've also taught on island. I've been
And the
in
island.
Exuma. I've taught at Georgetown.
Oh, my people
Exuma.
from Exuma. All right.
Yes, so I have to take it a little back. It's been a long time, but transitioning from UB or COB to the classroom, with everything comes experience. I would say most teachers would say we weren't properly prepared. So it was almost being thrown into the ocean and made to swim, or thrown into a boat and made to learn how to
Figure it out.
how to figure that out, how to drive that boat, how to make that boat, how to raise that sail, all on your own. But with experience, you learn. You bump along the way. There are mentors. There are people who help you if you're lucky.
If you're lucky,
If
that
you're lucky,
part.
it's not always the case if you're lucky.
That's episode 3.
So
you should
for-
come back. You should come back for that.
Yes, so if you're lucky, you have mentors. So you have people in the school who will help you. And that's why I make it a point to be that person for new people who come to the school.
Thank you for that. And so, Miss Linda, what about you? How did you make the transition from college to the classroom and be able to find your niche?
The transition was a lot. And I think it stemmed from teaching practice, because teaching practice, it's really all on you. Sometimes you have a good cooperating teacher, and some persons, they don't have that opportunity to have that.
So for your TP, did you do primary, senior, and...
No, it's strictly primary,
Only primary,
just
okay.
generalist. But it was a hard transition because, first of all, the school I've been to EP for the past 9 years, my entire teaching career. And if you know, EP Roberts is set up as a team teaching school. So you have where you can hear the other teacher teaching. And now it's a little bit better with actual walls, but that in itself was hard. It was hard, so it was like literally diving into the deep end. And sometimes you have persons who along the way can lend that support. And I'm grateful that I had a few persons who did that for me, but it really wasn't on-the-job training. COB doesn't teach us how to teach. It teaches us how to learn it teaches us different things, but it doesn't teach us how to teach. So it's really an on-the-job training.
So you feel as though you kind of had to find your place in education yourself to make it your own.
Yes, I do.
Because in your classroom, you are king or queen in this respect.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We've been having such a wonderful conversation, which we will continue right after this break. This is Classroom Chronicles. Welcome back to Classroom Chronicles. Today we've been talking about finding your niche in education, and we've been having a wonderful conversation. So, ladies, you've been in the classroom and have been for some time. Some of us more than others, me with my 15 years and 21 years. I think that's the highest bracket we have here on stage with us. And so, I want to ask, like, after being in primary for such a long time, or even if that's been your only post, I know you've also touched on secondary teaching. Why not consider, or have you considered moving up to senior or junior from primary? Or even teaching university?
Well, for me, university definitely is a consideration. But in the near future, I'm not sure, because right now I'm doing my master's in special ed. So
Way to
that's a
go.
K through 12, and almost done with that. So yeah, so I'm not sure. It may lend to high school or junior school. It all depends on where I'm placed. But it is, I am open to that possibility with my degree. But yeah.
I also noticed that two of us have taught on the family island.
Yes.
Is that something that you would consider, like making your presence felt as a primary teacher on the family island? Or
Not
if
as
you
a
go-
wife. I'm a wife first.
Oh, so you
So-
can't move by yourself.
Yeah, I can't move by myself. But
Okay.
yeah, but it has been a thought, but probably in retirement if my husband is willing and ready. But right now it's not a thought.
Okay. So my next question to you ladies would be, have you ever thought at just, even if at one moment, that perhaps teaching wasn't for you and maybe administration is where your niche may be? Like, has that ever been a consideration for any of you?
I think I've considered, I think all teachers at some point, especially at the end, okay, not in junior high or senior high, but at the primary level, at the end of the school year, when all of those documents and all of the paperwork comes in, I think we all at some point say, there has to be something better.
So definitely.
But it's always a short thought
In the
for
back
me.
of your mind.
Yes. For me, it's still reaching the young, connecting with young children. So I think administration takes me out of the class while we're still with them. We don't build those relationships like when you're in a classroom and you have they're my kids. They're my kids for a year. So for a year, it may be different in junior high and senior high because you have so much coming in, but at the primary level, every September I get a group of kids, my kids.
Yeah, we
and
get
for
them.
a year, they are mine.
Oh, well, for the
And
whole
so-
year, they're yours.
For the year, they're mine, and when they move on, they come back. So I have my sixth graders still coming back. My fifth graders, I have to run them every day still.
Oh my.
And
So
I
you
can't
really
let-
love
Yes,
primary,
I
like that's
love-
where your
I
heart
love that.
is.
Yes.
What about you, Dakia? Like primary, is that really where your heart?
It's where's my heart is. And I mean, as I said earlier, I'm open to wherever the Lord sends
Also,
me.
you ain't stuck in primary, like you would move.
I mean, I've been there for the past 12 years, but if they move me, they move me. I'm open. I know that education is a field that I want to stay in. I am currently doing my master's in leadership management and education, so
Way to go.
wherever it takes
So if you're doing
me.
masters in leadership, does that mean you are considering an administrative role?
I did. I did. It's a thought. As she said, it's a thought that comes to mind. And wherever he leads,
Wherever
I will follow.
he leads.
Yes.
Yes.
Praise him.
But I love the classroom.
Okay.
I do love the classroom.
But did you know that like there are ways for teachers to, because I know that the money is the issue in a lot of instances, and there are ways for teachers to still find their niche in the classroom without leaving the classroom. Did any of you apply for the senior teacher position that came out in 2022?
I have.
You
Yes,
did,
I
you
have.
did,
I
and
have
so
applied.
you're waiting. I did it as well, and I'm waiting.
Yes, we're waiting.
We're waiting.
We're waiting.
We're still waiting.
SOS,
Hopefully.
we're waiting.
Please. But those are some of the ways that teachers can still stay in the classroom and still reap the benefits of being a classroom teacher. What can be done? What can you do, or how can you encourage more teachers to, well, all of you have this love for primary, first of all, and I'm the only secondary, well, I'm junior high. I don't consider myself secondary because I've never taught 10, 11, and 12. I only consider myself a junior high teacher. I am big on junior high, and for me, that's my niche. Like, if you send me to primary school, I am certain you want me to quit. Like, just say, Ebony, listen, we don't want you in the classroom no more. We're putting you in a primary school. So for me, I know that I love junior high now. When my daughter is finished school and she goes off to college, I would consider Family Island teaching. I would love the opportunity to make some indelible impression on the family of islands. And we'll pick up this conversation right back after this break. This is Classroom Chronicles. welcome back to Classroom Chronicles. Today we're talking about how teachers can find their niche in education. And so my question to you ladies is, we ended the break talking about how if you send me any other position, I'm about to quit because I don't want to teach primary and I'm not ready yet for senior high. Have any of you considered that move? Like, seriously considered just leaving primary alone for a second and trying, if you haven't already, or some things that you might have wanted to have done before being sent to primary, you want to go back and try and do those things at the secondary or senior high level. I see Dakia is like,
I was just going to say no. Right now, I'm comfortable.
that's your safe
And
space.
having two girls and being a mom, I get to relate with the children. I get to see what my children are doing at home and relate to the children that are in my classroom now. So while I am flexible and I don't mind where they place me, the primary school right now, because of the stage my children are in, I'm loving it.
Okay, I feel the same way. I feel like when my daughter is in senior high, and a lot of her teachers are like, I'm not going to teach junior high, I'm not interested in primary, but senior high is where they found their niche. But for me, when my daughter is finished, I think I would definitely, she goes off to college, I will definitely consider, trying secondary, maybe Family Island, or even just a senior high school. What about?
For me, I think your niche changes as time, and we have to be open to that. For me, I never saw myself, let me don't say that. I always had a passion for special ed. It was just something in me, did not know what it was until I really understood and I realized, hey, this is something I can pursue as a career. So initially, got into teaching, fine, all well, general ed, perfect. And I think even the primary school lends to opening up the doors to see the different facets of students that comes into our classrooms. And as time went on, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to pursue special ed because I saw the need for it. Okay. And I feel like if I did not see that need as a generalist, I probably may not have pursued it now. So my niche has changed in the past 15 years, give or take, from college to now. So for me now, that niche is transitioning now into special ed in terms of that can be a plethora of ages and stages and disabilities all in that one classroom. And that I am open for, and
You're excited.
I'm ready
I can
to walk
see
through
the
that
excitement
door, yes.
just dripping off you. Yes. Well, I wish you every success as you
Thank
further
you.
your master's degree. Ms. Dakia, I noticed that earlier you mentioned that when you transitioned from college into, going from high school into college, it was making the decision as to what you wanted to teach. What helped you make that decision?
I think the love of music, for me, singing, that helped me to really figure out what I wanted to do. And that's what helped me with the music. And of course, it was between home economics, family life, and music. I was like, okay, I get all A's in music, so it's just...
You're going to stick with the one that you sure about.
You make sure your talents will make a way for you. So
they will.
music it was, and music it is.
Awesome.
So that's how.
So what are some of the things that prohibit teachers from trying other roles in education? I mean, you guys seem so comfortable at the primary school level, but let's talk about the persons that may not be comfortable where they are. What are some of the things that may possibly be stopping them?
The phrase comes to mind, a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Okay.
I think we're comfortable because we've been doing it for a number of years. I've tried 4, 5, and 6, and so like you, I don't want any part of grades 1, 2, and 3. I think I would quit too, or I would cry.
Okay.
If given anything lower than grade 4, because I've mastered grade 4. Now, I love science, so that's my mastery, but I think other teachers are afraid to move out of their comfort zones. They've already found their niche where they're comfortable, and so trying something else means starting over, and starting over is always a scary process.
Yes. I agree with you 100%. So what can we do to encourage more persons to become educators? Or, it's
think
the
they're
laughter
thinking
for
the
me.
same
What can we do?
More money,
To
more money,
encourage.
more money, less paperwork.
Okay, so I get it. The money.
The money.
The money, I get it, but
Give
what
me my
else?
money.
Okay, so let's say that the money wasn't the issue, but is it really the major issue? Is there anything else that you would say would stop someone from joining us in the noble profession and finding their niche here? We have, sorry, not to cut you off, but we have so many persons that go off to college and they get these degrees, not in education, but they have the capacity to obtain their teaching certificate and come and teach at the university level. But what about joining us at the primary or the junior high, senior high level as well? How can we encourage more persons to become educators, to create programs and to share them?
Well, like you say, when you go away or you go off to school, you're exposed to those pay grades. And while we don't want to admit that money drives,
We need it.
yes.
We gonna need that little thing. You can
That's
say
the only thing.
we
That's
need
the
that
bills
little
are coming,
thing.
inflation, so teachers, we're struggling. Like, we are struggling, so.
With the cost of living going up, we
Yes.
also need our salary to kind of balance.
Yes.
And so even though I may feel like, hey, I may be a good teacher,
Yes,
like
I need
I
something
got
that's
needs
going to pay
that
the
aren't being
bills.
met.
I
Okay.
need to be able to qualify for this house.
Right.
And teaching will not
That's
do that. So,
Oh
And-
boy.
And to add to that too, I think overall stress. We have to figure out a way to minimize the stress that teachers face countless of time. People be like, I don't know how y'all is doing as teachers. Because it really is a stressful job, and sometimes we can mitigate those stresses by doing things a little bit differently, looking at best practices and figuring out how to make teachers' job a little bit easier. And it's not saying do not do your best, but we have to figure out a way to just make it a little bit easier, whatever that may be. We have to sit to the table, the right tables, and say, hey, we got to take this out. We have to add this just to take
Making
away
the
some of that
adjustments.
stress. Yes, because we don't leave work. You go to work, you go home to work there, you come back to work there. So we have to figure out a way to take away some of that stress that teachers face, because teachers walk in a classroom and say, too much, I ain't going back. So that's a huge factor that we have to consider. How do we reduce stress?
So testing the waters and trying different things is so important. And as we close, we just want to thank you guys for joining us on today's session of Classroom Chronicles, where you are encouraged to listen to teachers, acknowledge our expertise, and address the challenges we face. Today we had Linda Pascal from E.P. Roberts Primary, Latia Johnson from Thelma Gibson, and Dakia Scott from Sadie Curtis Primary, as we talked about testing the waters, finding your niche in education, and considered a change of pace wouldn't be so bad. I'm Miss J, your host. See you on the next one. This is Classroom Chronicles.